Hello and welcome to Connected. I'm Divya Gopalan. So, India's been giving Beijing the diplomatic cold shoulder since 2020. Relations soured after China instigated a bloody clash on the Himalayan border. At the same time, China's been intensifying threats of taking Taiwan by force in recent years. So, does a common threat draw two countries together? Or is there more to Delhi and Taipei's warming ties? Well, to explore this, we're joined by Cannie Min in the Indian capital. She's a Taiwanese entrepreneur and author who has been living in India for more than a decade. And here in Taipei, Veeresh Kanduri, an Indian working with the Taiwan Center of Security Studies here. So, Cannie, I'll just begin with you. You published a book for Taiwanese or people in Taiwan who are interested in moving to India. Why did you choose this topic?
Well, I think the lots of Taiwanese, we know a little bit about India, right? So as according to I'm the first Taiwanese to set up a business in India. So I want to just encourage the more Taiwanese to come to India to see the reality about India, right?
Yes, and I want to talk about that reality a little bit later in this program. But first, Veeresh, you came to Taiwan as a fellow of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, MOFA. Your current focus is on maritime security. So I want to start with a harder edge with you. Now, in early May, India wrapped up a joint maritime exercise with ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, in the South China Sea for the first time. Can you tell us the significance of this and whether this has any implications for Taiwan?
Thank you, Divya, for having me here. India, as a responsible and also one of the major Navy naval power in the region, especially in the Indian Ocean and Indo-Pacific region, does usually and regularly bilateral naval exercises and also multilateral naval exercises in the region. But however, India's exercises with ASEAN is for the first time, and it has two phases. The first phase was in Harbour, which is based out of Changi Naval Base in Singapore, and the second phase, the sea phase, was that the drills are done in South China Sea. So this is the first time India is doing jointly naval exercise with ASEAN group. It's very significant. It gives a lot of scope, a lot of opportunities for both entities, like both regions, like India and also ASEAN, to exchange notes on the vulnerabilities and also on the regional threats, emerging state and non-state threats, and also like maritime militia and everything. It's an opportunity for both ASEAN and India to exchange notes. It's also important to see that in the larger context of what's happening in South China Sea.
Now, if I want to bring this back to Taiwan, though, and what Taiwan can take away from this, what would you say they will be viewing this as?
I don't think there are direct implications or any inferences for Taiwan now itself, but what we are seeing gradually is that India is more engaging beyond its traditional waters, which is Indian Ocean, and getting into South China Sea. So it's one of the welcome sign that India is engaging with ASEAN countries in South China Sea, not just with US, Japan, and Australia as part of a Quad or other Indo-Pacific initiatives. So even though there are no direct inferences and implications for Taiwan, it is definitely a welcome sign for Taiwan that India is more actively engaging in South China Sea.
All right, Cannie, this may seem unrelated, but it will eventually all come together and make sense. I want to ask you, in India, where do people assume you're from when they first meet you? And what do they say to you when you say you're Taiwanese?
Once I say to them from Taiwan, the first they say, oh, you're from Thailand. Okay, most of the local people, they thought I'm from Thailand, but as the businessmen, they used to know, oh, you're from Taiwan, right? But when they heard, because I tried to, they know, now Thailand is Taiwan. That is maybe 10 years ago. But now if I say I'm from Taiwan, people say, very good, from Taiwan.
Right, and so I'm going to take this back to you, Veeresh, and part of this whole mix is the fact that India has a hardening stance against China, as we spoke about, which then in essence means there's more consciousness about Taiwan. So can you explain how that plays in, and it's now Indians having an increased recognition of Taiwan?
India is one of the first countries which actually had maintained a strong stance or like maintained opposition to most of the Chinese initiatives, even including Belt and Road Initiative, which is one of the flagship programs of President Xi Jinping. So India is the first country which actually opposed the initiative and also really engaged with the initiative. So a strong India and a strong opposition to Chinese belligerence along the Himalayas would be very, very beneficial to maintain status quo or even to balance the Chinese adventurism in South China Sea and also in the Taiwan Strait. So a stronger China, a stronger India is very beneficial for Taiwan.
Okay, well, historically, this is about the closest India has got to Taiwan when it comes to relations. So here's a timeline of some of the key events there. The two countries set up official bilateral trade and cultural relations in 1995 with the Taiwan Education and Culture Center in Delhi, and in return, the India-Taipei Association in Taipei. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Taiwan in 1999 during his tenure as the General Secretary of his party, the BJP. Then, in 2007, the then opposition party leader, Ma Ying-jeou, made an unofficial visit to India. 5 years later, in 2012, a Taipei Economic and Cultural Center was established in the southern Indian state of Chennai. Now, May 2020 saw another first when two Indian parliamentarians attended the inauguration of Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen, although it was virtually. So this brings me to you, Cannie, to another important event, which is the pandemic. During this period, we saw Taiwan reach out to India, help with oxygen supplies. How has that changed perceptions of Taiwan in India, seeing that you were there during that period?
I think because even from the government or private sector from Taiwan, we send in the mask. Okay, using the anyway to send to the India because we heard, okay, not only India, other country also need it. As we can do, we say that Taiwan can help. That's the things made the Indian people, they come to know about the Taiwan is different as the mainland China.
Right, and did you feel a change in people's attitudes towards you after that once, and what was that change you felt?
Yeah, before that, people, because they're looking like the Chinese, they thought I'm from China. So the behavior and the attitudes are not really good. But after that, when I say I'm from Taiwan, the attitude and the behavior totally changed because very friendly.
So Veeresh, maybe I'll ask you the same questions. Did perceptions of Taiwan change among Indians during and after the pandemic?
Definitely, I think the political sentiment is way more positive towards Taiwan, and also there are a lot of positive narratives in the media, in the social media. There is a lot of positive sentiments towards Taiwan. It's to a major extent, it's the improving relationships between India and Taiwan, and also on the other end, it's also the adversarial relationships between India and China, and also China and Taiwan, making India and Taiwan more closer. Definitely, there's more scope and more room to improve, and also there's a lot happening before and after COVID between India and Taiwan.
So this brings me to the importance of soft power. Now, there are an increasing number of events being held here in Taiwan to celebrate Indian culture. Sivam Pal went to the Spring Festival in Taipei to find out what's behind the growing interest in all things Indian.
Capturing the movements of one of India's oldest classical dances, Hannah Wing performs for a captivated audience. The Odissi dancer is a regular performer at the annual Spring Festival celebrating Indian culture in Taiwan. And for the dancer from central Taiwan, it was an opportunity to showcase the art form she honed during her many trips to India, training under Odissi exponent Kasturi Patnaik.
Actually, in beginning, I learned Bollywood dance, but I only learned 1 month. I think only 1 month after. I find Indian classical dance, and that time I find Odissi dance from Taichung. So then I love it.
Most of these dancers speak of Indian culture as one would a cherished friend or partner. Lin Pei Chun, who likes to use her adopted Indian name Bhakta Priya Devi Dasi, says she found solace in Indian spirituality and dance.
因为我就是参与了 Krishna 知觉的活动，在 Krishna 的这个逍遥时光里面 ，Radha 是喜欢跳舞的，也因为这样子，我就开始喜欢跳舞了。
Despite the soaring temperatures, the Indian Spring Festival drew the crowds, many taking shelter in the booths to promote Indian arts and crafts, culture and food.
As an Indian living here in Taiwan, I feel that it is our holy duty to share more about our culture with the people of Taiwan. And I think the understanding of India among the people of Taiwan is really increasing, and they're very willing to learn more about our food and our clothes.
India is one of the 179 United Nations members that does not have formal diplomatic ties with Taiwan. But here, there has been a growing interest in all things Indian with Taiwan's control-free access of social media and streaming platforms.
In cross-cultural communication, I see great opportunities in filmmaking. So definitely, I think film and visual culture should be number one. And number two, historically, there are a lot of connections between especially Taipei and India.
And in recent years, those connections have translated into opportunities for economic ties.
Indian culture is rich and charming, and I really love it because I eat Indian food almost every day. I really love it, and I want to say Taiwanese people must participate in Indian people.
I find out that the Indian culture, the Indian song, Indian people always bring the colorful and the happy face.
And the appreciation is reciprocated by the Indian community in Taiwan. There are around 5,000 Indians living here, with students, academics, and business people making up the majority of the diaspora.
To be honest, the experience is very good here so far. It's a very safe country. Like I must recommend other people to visit Taiwan. It's a very good opportunity here.
I've learned some little aspect of the Chinese language and some culture about the Confucius cultures and the temples, various temples like Longshan Temple. The culture is like pretty similar to the Indian culture, so it kind of resonates.
Yeah, because I have been living here for 4 years, and we will see more stronger relationship between the India and Taiwan.
While India doesn't have diplomatic relations with Taiwan, at this fair it is clear that the people from the two democracies are eager to explore getting to know each other in ways that can build stronger and longer lasting ties. Siwing Ling and Shubham Pal in Taipei for Connected.
Cannie, how do you feel after watching that? Do you think your book is going to be popular here?
I think it's very interesting to see because I knew a lot of the Taiwanese actually they are very how to say thinking interesting to learn the classical, the Indian dance. Yeah, and before I think maybe 10 years ago, last the event like the TV show. Yeah, so it's quite good because lend more our people to know from the cultural side, which is very important. Yeah.
Now, Veeresh, Taiwan has a population of around 23 million, and there are about 5,000 Indians here. I would say it's one of the highest number of Indians at any point here. Let's compare this to Hong Kong. Population of about 7 million, 40,000 Indians there. Why does Taiwan have such a small proportion of Indians?
Maybe there could be a lot many factors behind such huge Indian population between comparing with Hong Kong and Taiwan. Maybe to a large extent it could be the lack of opportunities or the language challenges for Indians operating in Taiwan. Maybe Hong Kong is more bilingual, so it's more easier for Indians to operate in Hong Kong, and also Hong Kong has been established historically as the financial hub in Asia, and whereas in Taiwan is more of a technological hub, which is more emerging into semiconductors and everything, which is more of a very specific areas. But does that exactly gives an opportunity for more cooperation between India and Taiwan? So maybe like existing engineering and human workforce in India can also engage with Taiwanese technological capabilities, and Taiwan can train the engineers, Indian engineers, and Taiwan and India can come together and produce the semiconductor or chip workforce for entire world.
Veeresh, you hit the nail on the head there when you were talking about language. Cannie, one of your main business is teaching people in India Mandarin. And as you said there, Veeresh, it is really important for people who want to work here to have at least some basic knowledge of Mandarin here. So tell us about your students there, Cannie, and why they're learning in Mandarin, and whether you've seen a growth in the numbers interested.
Well, yes. Actually, in the 17 years ago, the most students from my institute, usually from the CEO or owner, want to know as the business purpose about this language. But after that, until now, my students become the young people, like age 16. I think the huge change because the international training is increasing in India. So also the people, the young people, they know they can encourage the people to know this language. They can do the more communication, more opportunity to the rest of the Asia. Yeah.
Right, and there is a clear appetite of Taiwan wanting more Indians, more visitors. Now, Foreign Minister Joseph Wu told Connected that he's hoping that more Indians will be looking to travel here in the future.
This is wonderful. India is always a fascinating country in terms of its culture, music, tourism, and etc. And here in Taiwan, we have Diwali celebration, and we also have this spring fair. And it is wonderful that the Taiwanese people do not have to go to India to enjoy this Indian culture, Indian music, Indian food, and etc. And we still hope that there can be more Taiwanese who have an opportunity to visit India, to enjoy India as the way it is. And we also hope that we can bring more Indians to Taiwan to enjoy Taiwan.
So Veeresh says he hopes we can bring more Indians to Taiwan, but what are the challenges that Indians face whether they want to come and visit Taiwan or live here?
I think one of the starting point to improve, of course, in the last couple of years, there has been a lot done for people-to-people relations between India and Taiwan, but still, I think serving 1.4 billion population of Indians with just 2 offices, one in Delhi and one in Chennai, might not do the justice. I think there is definitely scope to establish more offices, especially in the east and the west, like Mumbai and Kolkata. I think we should have more Taiwan offices in India so that they could have more people-to-people collaborations and people-to-people engagement between India and Taiwan. That would definitely expand the base of engagement between Indian population and Taiwanese population, which will naturally enhance the interest of Indian population in Taiwan, which is already exists to a large extent. Indian economic capacity is increasing. Indians are more investing in education. Indians are more willing to invest in education of their children. So I think India is the one best opportunity for Taiwan to replace or to balance the birth rates here and also the university centers which are shutting down in the recent times in Taiwan.
And in theory, that makes perfect sense and would be a great fit. But part of the one massive hurdle a lot of people face is the bureaucracy. And I believe there's that equal bureaucracy in India too. So let me flip this around to you, Cannie. What do you feel is the biggest hurdle to Taiwanese who want to move to India?
I think the biggest challenging is finding a good place to rent. It's not easy, especially in these metro cities, and also lots the paperwork and lots the questions. You cannot get the one answer.
At the moment, China is Taiwan's largest trading partner, but economic exchanges with India are becoming more frequent. Now, between 2006 and 2021, bilateral trade between Taiwan and India rose 185% to $5.7 billion. Arpita Dutt was part of the Taiwan-India Business Association delegation that recently toured India to explore business and investment opportunities. She says a recent World Trade Organization ruling that stopped India from imposing tariffs on Taiwanese electronic exports could give trade more traction.
Even if you look into the most exciting news for Taiwan perspective, that India lost over WTO World Trade Organization lawsuit for the import tariff, that become a quite excitement because Taiwan won on that, and that creates a very definite picture that Taiwan seeing India as one of the most important trading partner for Taiwan. And also last year, we have seen in 2022, our trade volume was around 9.8% has increased. The total bilateral trade value was around 8.5 billion USD.
So Veeresh, Taiwan produces over 60% of the world's semiconductors and over 90% of the most advanced one. Can Taiwanese semiconductor giants transform India into a future semiconductor hub, or what can India do to take advantage of this and build partnerships?
I think definitely that is one of the major or very strategic sector where India, Taiwan is looking to engage and cooperate and establish more formal partnerships between Taiwanese industry and Indian industry. One of the recent examples, one of the recent agreements was done between Foxconn, Taiwanese Foxconn and India's Vedanta to establish a semiconductor manufacturing hub in Gujarat. It is still in a work in progress. It has and get taken up. But definitely there would be more opportunities, and there are more opportunities to engage on this field. Taiwan is more engaging towards US, naturally, and then Germany, and then Japan. Maybe it is a time for Taiwanese industry to look into India, because India is one of the major economies. Despite the COVID restrictions and COVID disruptions and everything, India is going strong. Indian economy is going strong, especially Indian technological and IT industry is going way more stronger than the overall Indian economy. So it is one of the right times for Taiwanese industry, Taiwanese tech industry to engage with Indian tech industry. Taiwanese industry usually engage with Southeast Asian countries like Vietnam, Malaysia, to mostly with China. So comparing with these countries, engaging with India might be very different, but there are definitely way more opportunities comparing to these countries because India itself is a market.
Right. So then, Cannie, in that sense, do you feel that there's more Taiwanese interest to open businesses in India? And from where you're standing, do you hear more about it? Do you get more people approaching you? And given that, what would be the one advice you give them to anyone who comes up to you and says, look, I want to open up a company or a business, be it big or small, in India?
Yes, Divya. Lots of Taiwanese contact with me, actually, especially in these 2 years. Okay, so for me, it's very good, very happy to see this finally waiting for more Taiwanese interesting about to invest in India. As I used to suggest them, you need to understand to approach the market and need to be more patient, because India is such huge countries, huge market. It's just not only the 1 or 2 years you can have the, to decide or make the comment. So this country, India, you need to spend some time, like more than 5 years, then you will love it. And again, if you want to set in the business in India in this market, you cannot use only the one channel to approach the people here. You need to, you should have the different models, different marketing strategies to enter this huge market.
Now, very good advice. One thing India and Taiwan have in common is a love of tea, different kinds of tea. Taiwanese tea is very different from Indian tea. So, Cannie, how do you feel about masala tea?
Honestly speaking, in the first year, I just, it's very sweet, But after that, love it. Yeah, when I go back to Taiwan, I order the masala tea in Taipei. I feel like something missing. Ilaji is missing. The ilaji. I don't know how to say in English. Ilaji.
Cardamom.
Ilaji.
It's good, Cannie, to hear that you're enjoying masala tea. In return, many Indians are enjoying bubble tea. I understand there are more and more bubble tea shops opening in Delhi and across India. So this brings me to my final question to you, Veeresh. For people in India that do want to come into Taiwan, what is your final piece of advice for them?
Taiwan also offers one of the best programs for technological, on the technological field, IT field, and also even people working on strategic affairs, political science, geopolitics. It is also one of the right times to operate or to understand Taiwan, to understand the region, because with the increasing threat from China, it is way more important for Indians to understand Taiwan, the concerns of Taiwan towards China. I think we should have more Indians in Taiwan now and have more Taiwanese in India.
And on that note, I want to say thank you to both of you, Veeresh Kanduri here in Taipei and Cannie Min in New Delhi. Thank you both for doing your part for keeping India-Taiwan relations warm. And to our viewers, it's been good to have your company. Thank you for joining us. Stay connected.